Hello and welcome to this tutorial from aboutyourenglish.com. This tutorial is about the difference between a phrase and a clause. A phrase is a string of two or more words, and so is a clause. But there are important differences between phrases and clauses. This example has a phrase and a clause. As a student, he was no Einstein. Do you know which part of the sentence is a phrase and which part is a clause? Many people refer to phrases as sentences, but a phrase is not a sentence because a phrase does not have both a subject and a verb. These are examples of short phrases. An apple, good food, the teacher's responsibility, to be, because of the traffic, running a marathon. A phrase can also be very long, like a sentence. Due to the unseasonable snowfall, the heavy traffic near the airport, and construction on the freeway. Why is this long string of words a phrase? Because it does not have both a subject and a verb. Here's an example of a phrase that begins with a verbal or gerund. Driving from Winnipeg to Toronto on a beautiful day in July. And here's another example. This long phrase could be the subject of a sentence, but there's no verb, so it's still a phrase. The best cook in the whole world at the best restaurant in the universe. Remember that a phrase does not have both a subject and a verb. Now that you know what a phrase is, you might be able to guess the definition of a clause. A clause is a string of two or more words that has both a subject and a verb. I quit. Nobody listens. Anna sneezed. We won. A clause can be a sentence. These two-word sentences are clauses because they have subjects and verbs. Here's another example. Our team has a 7-game losing streak. Does it have a subject and a verb? Subject, verb. It's a clause and it's a sentence. Here's an example with two strings of words. Which is a clause? On the way to the computer store yesterday, we discovered a shortcut to the farmer's market. The clause is, we discovered a shortcut to the farmer's market. On the way to the computer store yesterday is a phrase. Some sentences have two clauses. The clauses are connected with conjunctions. Here's an example. At the computer store, Philip bought a computer and I returned my printer. The two clauses are underlined. The conjunction and connects the clauses. These two clauses could stand alone as sentences, and for that reason, they are independent clauses. The students could not turn in their assignments on time because they had no access to computers. This sentence has two clauses. Do the clauses have subjects and verbs? Subjects and verbs. The first clause is an independent clause, and the second clause is a dependent clause. The dependent clause has a subordinating conjunction because, so it cannot stand alone. The first clause can stand alone, as a sentence by itself. Here's another example. The students won't perform well unless each of them has his own laptop. Here are the subjects, and here are the verbs. The students won't perform well is the independent clause, and unless each of them has his own laptop is the dependent clause. Now maybe you can identify the phrase and the clause in this sentence. This is the phrase, and this is the clause. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and please check out aboutyourenglish.com.